best. Here he comes, here come the 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 West. Chant at beyond, look around like who's next. I cannot do second, best take less.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Blow the Whistle podcast. The dying members have been extinguished on Super Bowl 50, and we thought it'd be a good time to just bring to you our final post-game review of the season, I guess. Super Bowl 50, many will call it an awful game, a boring game, but if you're a fan of defense like me, you'd call it a very enjoyable and spectacular affair. By now you will know the results. The Broncos wound out 24-10 winners over the Carolina Panthers at Levi Stadium in the 50th edition of the Super Bowl. I'm going to get right into it. I'm just going to, I'm going to talk about both. I'm going to start talking about the Broncos. Broncos wound out winners, and I won't even say justifiably so. I think they made the least mistakes on the day, and they won the game. Anyway, I even said in the preview, it's going to be a case of both defenses are going to win the game for either team, and that's what happened. I said that whichever team finds the best methods of outlasting or even winning a few key battles against the opposing defense was going to be the winner. And I think I even said to quite a few people that this wouldn't be a blowout. I think everyone was, lost in the hype of the Panthers. Obviously, justifiably so, because obviously they did coast into the Super Bowl. They went 15-1. They somewhat coasted. They coasted for the first half of the game against the Seahawks, and coasted past the Cardinals and into this game here. But I did say that it would be a different. The Broncos' defense would be a different beast to the ones that they faced previously. But like I said, it'd be a case of which offense would make the least mistakes against the defense. Obviously, both two very dominant defenses. But at the end of the day, it was the Broncos' defense which reigned supreme today. If you want to compare both defenses, I wouldn't even say they played to that. It wasn't in terms of performance-wise, the difference between the Broncos and the Panthers wasn't a chasm, but it's a case of the Broncos' defense started off early and never let up, and that's probably why they ended up winning the game. Let's talk about this defense. This defense, I've been saying from a lot, from quite early on that it's special. You've got Von Miller and Marcus Ware as edge rushers, and you've got Malik Jackson, Derek Wolfe as interior linemen, and the fact that players like Wolfe and Jackson are known to everyday NFL fan says a lot, because once your interior linemen start to get notoriety and people start to know them by name, you're doing something right. And on the flip side, once your O linemen are known by name, it's either they're doing something right or they're not doing anything right. Normally, when you're an O lineman, you do a good job, especially your interior linemen. They don't know your names, but anyway, I'm deviating. But yeah, and then you got the likes of Brandon Marshall, you got Danny Trevathan, Bradley Roby, you got TJ Ward. Who else you got? You got Aqib Talib, you got Chris Harris Jr. All these players are known by name. All these Broncos players are known by name, and why? Because they've had that much of an impact on this team. They're all studs. You got, like I said, you got interior linemen that's in Malik Jackson, Derek Wolfe, who can stuff to run. You got elite pass rushers, capable of beating some of the top linemen. You got linebackers who are fast enough to drop into coverage, cover your best and bigger receivers, and then you've also got some. I wouldn't call them lockdown corner. You got some very, very strong, athletic, and corner and good coverage corners. So this team, literally, I think they've got studs at each level, and they've carried this team all season. And we've seen them. Obviously, they carried the team all season. This is the team who, on offense, isn't the same as it was 2 years ago in Super Bowl 48. Super Bowl 48 was all about the offense. This year it's all about the defense. The defense got them over the line. They've combined for 6 sacks on Cam Newton. If I'm not mistaken, it was, their hits were in the double digits. And they forced 4 turnovers. And it all starts with that front line. Wolf and Malik Jackson, stopped them from running the ball early on. I think Cam Newton was the leading rusher. I think when your quarterback is your leading rusher, it just says that your running backs haven't been able to beat to beat that. They're stuffing, they're running stuffing interior linemen. And then on the flip side, you see, the likes of Von Miller and the Marcus Ware on the outside. That's where I think if once the runs slow down, that's where you pretty much kill the game. And I think this team killed the game with a rush. We saw early on in the first quarter when Von Miller beat I think it's Mike Rimmers on the outside. Beat Mike Rimmers. I'm going to talk about more why he beat Mike Rimmers in a second, but he beat Mike Rimmers on the outside, forced a sack strip fumble of Cam Newton, and Malik Jackson takes the ball into the end zone for a Denver score. And that's after Denver on offense, started up. So the thing is, on offense, surprisingly, so let me go back. They started pretty well on offense. I think the first Peyton Manning drive was vintage Peyton Manning. I think that's Peyton Manning of, let's say, the start of last season or the 2000 and the season after they just lost the Super Bowl. That's that Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning before the leg injury, the shoulder, all before the injuries started to take over. That was that Peyton Manning. He drove the Broncos down the field, and once they got down the field, I think that's when this Carolina D, who did start off a bit groggy, a bit sleepy, woke up. Because once they got into the red zone, this defense woke up and started to make plays. I think on first down, they tried to rush it and they lost. I think they lost about 4 or 5 yards on that first down. And it was after that it began. They all went down. I think that drive pretty much came to a halt because they had to sell for free. So the offense started off well, but I think apart from that first drive, the Broncos offense didn't do anything. They only converted one of, I think, 13 third down, sorry. So basically on third down, on any distance, they just didn't manage to get past the Panthers defense. And that's why I say that the Panthers defense played as, you could say they played as well as the Broncos defense. But it's the fact that, the offense were unable to capitalize and make, and they made more mistakes than the opposition. So, as I said, they were on offense, only able to convert one third down. I think that was on the first drive early on. Yeah, that was on the first drive early on. So I can say it was pretty much a case of that first drive is probably what won the Broncos the game. That first drive, the first drive what won the Broncos the game, and the early drives by the Panthers probably what lost them the game. Like I said, I'm going to focus on the Panthers in a bit more detail soon. I think Manning only threw for 141 yards. He threw one interception, which that crazy. The interception to Coney late on is that was the drive that was going to kill the game. I think late on they're up by 2 scores from a mistake. I think they're up by 2 scores still. Yeah, they're up by 2 scores. This drive, whether you get a field goal or a touchdown, pretty much kills the game. I think it's late in the third quarter, and it pretty much kills the game. However, Peyton Manning rushes outside. He has a receiver going into the flats. It's shallow. I think it's quite shallow. It's still within the 2 sticks. It's quite shallow. He's going into the flats, so all Manning has to do is throw it over by the D lineman to get him. And the thing is, Coney, who like I said, he's not even a star for the Panthers, but he got quite a few snaps in this game. Coney had his back turned. I think was it Demaryius Thomas? It was either Demaryius Thomas or a running back, but regardless, he had his back turned, and he hadn't even anticipated the pass here. He just saw he identified the receiver going into the flats, and he knew that the ball probably was coming. So as he's turned around, the ball's literally he's seen the ball in the air and he's made a terrific interception. I think Manning as an elite quarterback, as he see that, he needs to check down on that pass, because if you're in the red zone, you're approaching the red zone. Sorry. You need to get points to call the game. And, Manning probably would have either checked down, thrown the ball away. But he risked it, if his arm not being the same as it was before, he risked it, threw it, intercepted. So, and I could have easily gone back for 7 had it not been, because Coney broke a few tackles and was on his way. But, I think that's probably what saved them from a pick 6, and we had one in the game. Earlier on the first drive of the game, and he did that. Sorry to go back and forth. On the first drive of the game, he threw a pass and had I can't remember which DB it was, but had the cornerback, being there second earlier. He's picking it off and he's going to the house. So, as I said, it was a case of mistakes. He also had 2 fumbles, but one of which was recovered by the Broncos themselves, so it only counts as 2 turnovers. But like I said, the mistakes Manning, I mean, the mistakes that the Panthers made was just more than what the Broncos did. That's exactly why. That's pretty much the story of this game. So, um, let's go and talk about the Panthers. The Panthers come into this game with heavy favorites. As I said, I identified that they were favorites, and if they had won this game, probably I wouldn't, of course, wouldn't be sure they were favorites going in, but I identified where it could have gone wrong for them, and that's exactly what happened. I think if you listen on the live stream that we did a few live streams, and I said that if um if they have to do things like put Olsen into coverage, also if they have to do things like if they can't stifle the pass rush, then it's gonna get to them. And that's exactly what happened. Like, let's first start with that Carolina offense. The Carolina offense struggled to get any rhythm. Struggled to get any rhythm on offense. Cam Newton wasn't afforded any time in the pocket whatsoever. Throughout the whole game, we constantly saw instances where he just needed either a second more just to get the ball away. And even when he did, I think he wasn't helped by the receivers. The receivers dropped a lot of catches today, and they weren't your prototypical catches. There were a lot of them were 50-50 balls where they probably would come down there without, because the Broncos defenders like deserve a lot of credit because they didn't let up. I think even when the ball was caught, they contested every single catch, and contesting every single catch is the reason why. It's the reason why some of those balls were dropped. So if you've got like players like Jericho Clutchery, Devin Funches, you got Brown who was there who probably went down afterwards. You got Tedkin Jr. You got Greg Olsen. Every single catch they made was contested, and even if you look early on before there was a play where I think on their first drive where Olsen catches the ball, and he's 1 yard shy of the first down marker. Normally you see Olsen break through, make that first down, but this Broncos defense literally swarmed to the ball. As someone who's played the sport, I think our coaches always tell us, 11 hats to the ball, 11 hats to the ball, and it says that for a reason. When you have 11 people running to the ball, it stops the opposition, from being able to break away and make those extra crucial yards. Those extra crucial yards, maybe be 1 or 2 yards here, are crucial. So the Broncos defense swarmed like wasps or bees, to that ball. They did not let up, and that's the reason why you saw some of the drops. You saw some of the inabilities to convert short runs to first downs into first downs. That's the reason that happened. Sorry. And that was the story of the day. I think I'm going to talk about the key moments in the game, but this is what I'm talking about this one right now, and a bit more details later. After the Jericho Clutchery catch, which was rightfully challenged by Ron Rivera, I still maintain it was a catch. The ball may have bobbled, but throughout the process, the ball didn't touch the ground in a way which would help him receive the ball. He constantly had the ball on, a hand under the ball, and it should not have been ruled an incompletion after this, even after the challenge. So, I'll talk about it in more details. That pretty much changed the game. That was a first down for the Panthers, but we saw that the drive after that is the drive where it's the drive where which one of the Stewart. I think it's drive where Stewart goes down. Starting running back for the Carolina Panthers. He goes down in a very, very nasty looking injury where his leg gets caught. Obviously, like the Denver defense swarming to the ball, tackled him in a way where his leg was caught and he just went in the opposite direction. It was a very nasty looking injury. And he went out for that. And after that, going out for that, they brought in Mike Talbot with the fullback, or the second back, should I say. Became starting, he started to get a majority of the snaps. And it's at that point where things started to go wrong. Because on a play where Cam Newton is sacked and stripped by Von Miller, you see Talbot outside of Matt Remmers, the right tackle. Normally as at the end coming up against it, you're expecting to get a chip block, get some sort of interference from the according to the running back who stands as a receiver there, get a chip block, kind of push him or do whatever. But Tolbert lets him go unchallenged. Lets him go. He lets one of the best pass rushers in the game go unchallenged. He gets through, sacks Cam Newton, strips him, Malik Jackson recovers the fumble, touchdown. And we saw that we even said in the preview podcast, live podcast, that Michael Rimmers and Michael Law we're gonna struggle with Ware and Miller. we said that we badgered on about that. We did say that players like Greg Olsen were going to be asked to protect quite a bit more. And like I said, whether it was Olsen or Tolbert who came in for the injured Stewart, they just weren't able to do it. And that's pretty much that. That's what led to the lack of rhythm in this offense. They didn't know what to do. They don't know what to do. They started to become a bit. They tried to become a bit more exotic. We saw on a play where on the flea flicker play, it was basically a flea flicker play where Cam Newton goes to the outside. He throws back. He tries to throw back to Ted Ginn Jr. But then you see that the Broncos defense, I can't remember which guy, I think it was another of their, second string lineman, identifies it, locks him down. It's like Wade Phillips here. I think for the game he called deserves he deserves something because without Wade Phillips on this defense, the Broncos would not even have made the playoffs, and that's a guarantee. I think for all the praise that Gary Kubiak, and Peyton Manning get, I think the defense and Wade Phillips deserves a lot more credit because they're the reason why the Broncos won this game. And it was one of those ones where after the first sack strip fumble, Cam Newton just didn't have the same confidence. He lost Philly Brown later on in the game. The fact that he lost Philly Brown, they had to put Greg Olsen in more coverages, and they pretty much only had Tegan Jr. going against elite an elite secondary just wasn't able to constantly beat them. We saw instances where when Brown was on the field, when Clutcher himself and Ted Ginn and Funches, all four players there was instances in the game where they made catches for big gains, but it just wasn't enough consistency. And it's just also the drops where the contested catches where they weren't able to come down with the ball. We saw later on in the game where Clutcher on the third down, all he has to do was it third down? But regardless, it's late in the it's later on in the game. He has the ball. All he has to do is catch it, and it's pretty much a guaranteed touchdown. It's guaranteed, but he doesn't. He's not able to do it. And also, let's not forget, there was instances in the game where they said the game got no early missed field goal, preventing them from adding another 3 points and making it a bit more interesting going into the half. There's all of these instances that just went against the Panthers. Things you're not used to seeing them do. They're not used to. They're not used to losing the turnover battle. They're not used to making mistakes. They're not used to dropping. Well, we've seen them drop passes, but they're just not used to making so many drops. No, not like I said, we've seen them drop passes before, but pretty much only on plays like Tekken Jr. He was chastised for dropping passes, but it seems to be like all players are dropping passes. Even Greg Olsen wasn't able to come down with the ball. And Greg Olsen is one of the best tight ends in the game. It was just one of those days where everything went wrong for this team. And I also stress that they're a team that's not used to playing from behind. A team that's not used to chasing leads. And we saw how they became a lot more desperate in some of their plays. Like I said, their exotic plays. Their brother, they pretty much lodged their bread and butter type of plays, and in exchange for the exotic ones, which they just weren't able to to execute. And as I said, that's testament to this Broncos defense. We saw, like I said, in weeks gone by, teams who face the Panthers, especially in the postseason, struggled when they tried to anticipate what was coming. Don't abandon what you're good at. Like we saw earlier on in the season. I know, I'm a Packers fan, but I'll go back to the game against the Panthers way back, against the Packers, where I think a change of scheme on defense where they started to attack Cam Newton, started to harry him as opposed to trying to drop in the coverage and anticipate what's going to happen. That pretty much was a blueprint. And we saw the Seahawks do that themselves in a game in the second half, where instead of waiting for you, dropping into coverage and anticipating what was coming, they went after him. And once you go after him, you kind of I'm not saying you can stop him, but you're limiting his options. You're not giving him enough time. You're not giving him enough time to identify, multiple opportunities. So you're limiting his options so you know what's coming per se. So I think playing that kind of risk, the risk strategy pays off. And I think going into next year with this Panthers team, a lot more teams may identify as that as a way of stopping him. But yeah, I think, as I said, it was just a case of it was just too many mistakes by this team. Too many mistakes. And then this game, as I said, this game wasn't pretty. If you're talking from an offensive standpoint, it wasn't pretty. There were just too many mistakes. And it's a game where neither quarterback threw for a touchdown. Neither quarterback threw for a touchdown. We had an offensive touchdown. We had two running backs run the ball in. Neither quarterback threw a touchdown. Neither team threw an offensive touchdown in this game. So there was just like it's just one of those games where, as I said, the things that went wrong for the Broncos were, crippled them, and the things that went wrong for the Broncos, I'm sorry, I'm repeating that. The things that went wrong for the Panthers, crippled them, and the things that went wrong for the Broncos didn't have much of an effect. And I'm just going to talk about the key points in this game. So you had the early strip fumble of Von Miller, who was crowned, the Super Bowl 50 MVP, deservedly so. If Peyton Manning had won that game, I think had won that MVP, I think would have been a lot. There would have been uproar. But yeah, so the early strip sack fumble of Von Miller, which led to the Malik Jackson touchdown. You had an early missed field goal by Graham Gano. You also had late on in the game, I think it's the third quarter, if I'm not mistaken, a kick return where the Panthers fought. Was it Manuel Sanders? I'm not sure if it was Manuel Sanders, but the Panthers fought. He had called for safety, but for some reason they all stopped running, and you see Sanders taking run. If I'm not mistaken, I think we were corrected, but you see Sanders running back, and you sort of. I think it wasn't a return touchdown, but that it wasn't a return for a touchdown, but that long return itself was another Panthers mistake. It was just testament to what happened that day. It's just making mistakes when it most mattered, and that took a no. That's another play that took time off the clock, and that's what it became. It became a case of managing the game. The Broncos managed the game, but they did a very, very poor job of doing it. Couldn't convert on third down. They did a very, very poor job managing the game, but they still won out winners. Another key moment is when Newton was shipped to the ball for the second time. The ball's at his feet, and at this point, I don't want to stop, assuming what happened, because it looks as if Newton could have jumped on that ball, but for some reason, I don't know whether he thought the Broncos player already had it, or whether he just didn't really anticipate it, or basically, I don't know. No, I don't know. Only Cam Newton himself knows what was going on at that point and why he didn't dive on that ball, because he didn't dive on that ball, and it ended up, the Broncos ended up recovering it and game over. So, and I want to talk about a lot of the post game stuff now, but yeah, that was game over. That's, like I said, that was the story of the game. Just mistakes. The Panthers, made more mistakes in that position. They shot themselves in the foot, and eventually the Broncos wound up winners. Broncos wound up winning because of the defense. Obviously, to make the mistakes, there must be a reason why you made the mistakes. They made the mistakes because of the Broncos. But things like there's full start penalties, there's holding penalties. They happen because you're playing a very good team. When both your tackles, your offensive tackles, are jumping off sides. I'm joking. Sorry, are full starting. It's because of the guys in front of them. When you have Von Miller, when you have Marcus Ware on both sides, it's gonna have your alignment. Agitated, and anxious or as it's coming. That's why they jumped offside. Then when they're coming out, when they can't contain it, start holding. And that was going. The thing is, there was a lot. I was watching. There was lots of holding calls missing the game. A lot. A barrage of holding calls are missing the game. But that's just what happens when you're facing a very, very good team. You make mistakes, and the Panthers made mistakes. I don't want to take too much away from the Broncos. Like I said, the Broncos deserved to win this game because their defense, was played at an elite level. And even as there's a lot of people who are going to clown on Aqib Talib as well for his performance. Do you know what? I think he was wound up. He made a few mistakes. The first unsportsmanlike conduct penalty and the face mask penalty right at the end. He was wound up. But at the end of the day, he's a Super Bowl winner's got a ring, so you can't really count on him. But also, we all saw him declaring that he's going to go make love to his wife. I'm paraphrasing there, after the game, after winning the Super Bowl. He was wound up, and you saw that after the game. It was like a loose cannon. We saw Peyton Manning not announce that he was going to retire. I think that's time for Peyton. Peyton shouldn't even think about trying to come back. I think it's time for Peyton to retire. There's rumors about him going to the LA Rams and playing in the late 4 year, which is bogus. I think he's got his two. Peyton's got his 2 rings now. He's gone to 4 Super Bowls. He's won half of them. It's 500. He's won 2 and lost 2. This is the first time he's had an elite defense. Had Peyton had an elite defense in all of his Super Bowls, like the team he had now, I think he probably won 3 out of 4. I don't think that game. I think that game against the Seahawks was just one of those ones where even with a great defense, you couldn't really stop that. But yeah. Peyton needs to hang it up. I think when it's all said and done, him winning that ring is going to have him in the argument of the greatest of all time. I saw, controversy say Peyton over Brady, but that's because I break it into intricacies. The same way that Manning is, scrutinized for lack of rings compared to Brady. Disparity ring, should I say, a disparity ring when compared to Brady is like the reason. It's the same way I, scrutinize Brady. I'd still take Brady Manning over Brady because Manning's the first quarterback. Manning's the first quarterback to win the Super Bowl with two different teams. He's the first quarterback to take four different coaches to the Super Bowl. So, whereas someone like Tom Brady has had Bill Belichick on his in his camp throughout his career, Manning's gone to two different teams, taken two and one Super Bowl, two different teams, two different coaches, and also won and being at the Super Bowl, four different coaches. So I think that speaks volume. I think in about 10, 20 years' time, when we're still arguing about who the best quarterback is of all time, people are going to forget Manning's performance in his last 2 years. They're going to forget how bad he's played. They're just going to look at the numbers. They're going to look at all these records. They're going to look at all these rings, and they're probably going to have him an argument. That's how it is. That's how it is. The next generation, they're not going to have watched this game, so that's how it is. As for Cam Newton after the game, do you know what? All season, Newton has been, on top of the world. He's been elate. He's been dabbing, dancing, giving balls to kids after touchdowns. Like I said, I think I'm so proud of what the player that Cam Newton's become. Not just because he's a black quarterback, but because of the way he's improved. He's become a leader. He's become a pillar in certain societies. He's become a role model for young kids, and he's become a better quarterback. The Panthers got to the ball in large parts because of the defense, and also because of Cam Newton. Without Cam Newton, the Panthers wouldn't be where they are. As I said, you need a capable quarterback to get to the Super Bowl. We clown about how Manning is not the player that he used to be, but he's still able to marshal an offense. He's the shit. They call him the sheriff. He's able to marshal an offense, so he will get your team to he's good enough to get your team to the Super Bowl, and then he can run out the defense. But Cam Newton, without him, the Panthers won't be where they are, guaranteed. So, and he took the loss in a really, really bad because they didn't play well. And, people are going to focus on his post-game, him walking out the post-game conference. It's, you got to look at him after the game. He congratulated Manning, it was all smiles. He gets to the stand. And for some reason, they've got the Broncos players and the Panthers players in the same press conference back to back, but in the same room. Sorry, and you can hear. I think it might be Chris Harris Jr. talking about how Cam choked and how he's run bar, and then on the other side you got Cam Newton trying to answer questions while he's hearing this. And I'm not gonna, as a human being myself, if I hear such, I'm going to be angry myself. I'm gonna not be able to concentrate, not be able to answer correctly, answer the way you want me to, enthusiastically. And I'm gonna walk out. I don't know if I walk out, but I'm not gonna be the most gracious. I don't know what to call it. The gracious loser, I guess. So I think he's well within his right to be upset. Maybe walking out a step too far because I don't know. He does deserve some criticism on the way he handled defeat. But he said himself in his other interview. He said himself he's not a good loser. Cam Newton says he's not a good loser. He said show him a good loser, and he'll show you a loser. And he's right. I think that's the mentality that's been sold in our children. You don't accept second place. Always try to be the best. Always try to be the best. So this notion of he should be happy that he lost. No, he shouldn't be happy. Mainly, don't confuse being gracious in defeat and happy and gracious in defeat. Don't confuse the two. He may have been gracious. He was gracious in defeat. He has congratulated, but he's still not happy. I think when you ask him, are you happy to lose? Of course, he's going to be happy to lose. He's going to answer that. And I think especially with the second interview that surfaced, I have no problem with that interview. I think that interview is something that needs to be shown to kids all over the world. Don't conform to what the media want you to be. Don't conform to their standards. Be who you want to be. Know your place in society and know your worth and your value. Understand that the hard work is what got you here. And understand. You need to understand. They need to understand that you're going to be disappointed in defeat. It's not worked out the way you want to, but you're going to be back. You're going to try again. You're going to, and you're going to try your hardest again to get back to where you are, and then we'll see if it's the same outcome. And that's it. And could not have thought Cam Newton anymore at all for what happened at all. So that pretty much wraps up. Sorry to end that on a rant. That pretty much wraps up our post Super Bowl analysis. over the coming months, we're going to return to all other sports. So I think we did take a bit of a side seat while the NFL was going on. So we're going to, it is NBA All Star weekend this week. I think it's a bit too early for us to be covering NBA All Stars, but we're going to go back to covering NBA. I think there's a lot of interesting things going on in football right now. We're going to cover football, and we're also going to, cover as many other sports. Formula One season starts again. I think athletics is starting, starting to pick up again. Athletic season returning after winter breaks. So. There's a few more sports coming, so we're going to try and do a few more podcasts, a few more live ones as well. So keep, if you don't already, download Zcast, get involved, and try to get involved in our live podcast. But anyway, thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoy this podcast.